Hi everyone, I am Didinj, the author of Gmail.com, and now I will show you how to create CRUD or create, read, update, delete mobile apps easily. Before continue, please subscribe to this channel, activate the bell button, and give a comment or a suggestion to add to the spirit of making more video tutorials. Nowadays, making Android and iOS mobile apps is easier for everyone, especially for those who have basic knowledge of front-end development. Front-end development is about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript development. But if you have not learned front-ends before, don't worry. You will learn all of them together little by little while learning to create the CRUD mobile apps. Plus, you also will learn how to access or use data from the REST API. There are 8 steps to achieve this tutorial. Step number 1. Create Ionic App with the type of Angular. Step number 2. Install Angular X material and CDK. Step number 3. Use dynamic imports for Angular X root configuration. Step number 4. Create Angular X REST API service. Step number 5. View list of data. Step number 6. View data details and add delete function. Step number 7. Add data. Step number 8. Edit data. What you see, there are more than 5 steps for this tutorial because this is an advanced Ionic 4 or Angular X tutorial that involves REST API data access and Angular material design. And you will need the following tools, frameworks, and modules are required for this tutorial. Node.js, find the recommended version. Ionic with the type of Angular, Express.js, and MongoDB API. You can find on our GitHub the working source codes. You can find here terminal or not command line, IDE or text editor. We are currently using Visual Studio Code. We will not cover how to install the Node.js, Express.js, and MongoDB because you can install them easily by following their official getting started guides. So we just check the install Node.js and npm by open your terminal or Node.js command line, then type these commands node-v. We are using Node.js version 10 npm-v. We are using npm version 6. Next, upgrade or install new Ionic 4 CLI by open the terminal or node command line, then type this command sudo npm install -g Ionic. You will get the latest Ionic 4 CLI in your terminal or command line. Check the version by type this command Ionic-v. Now we have the currently installed Ionic CLI version 5.4.6. Now let's go to the main steps of this tutorial. Step number 1. Create Ionic App with the type of Angular. To create an Ionic App with the type of Angular, simply type this command in the terminal or Node.js command line. Ionic start the app name Ionic CRUD apps with the type Angular. If there is a question to choose the default template, choose the side menu. Click enter. Wait for a few minutes for installing node modules. Next, go to the created Ionic App 4J folder. cd Ionic CRUD apps. Then run the Ionic for Angular app for the first time using this command: Ionic serve L. If there's a question to install Ionic App, just type Y. Now, the Ionic app opened automatically in your default browser as a lab mode, in which you can choose the platform for Android, iOS, or Windows. Step number 2. Install Angular Egg material and CDK. For UI, we will use Angular Egg material and CDK. Angular material is a UI component library for Angular application that use Google Material Design specification. Angular material components help in constructing attractive, consistent, and functional web pages and web applications, while adhering to modern web design principles like browser portability, device independence, and graceful degradation. The component dev kit or CDK is a set of tools that implement common interaction patterns, always being unaffectionate about their presentation. It represents an abstraction of the core functionalities found in the Angular material library, without any styling specific to material design. To install Angular X material and CDK, simply run this command: ng add Angular material. Just type enter or Y for every question that shows up. Now we have to open these projects using your favorite IDE or text editor. For Visual Studio Code, we just call the IDE using this command: code dot. Next, register or required Angular Material CDK components or modules to apps.module.ts. Open and edit that file. Then add these imports of drag drop modules and scrolling modules using Angular CDK. For Angular Egg material components, we will not import here, but in each Ionic 4 page modules. Also, modify forms modules imports to add reactive form modules. Import form module, reactive form modules form Angular form. Register the above modules to ng modules imports. Save this file. Step number 3. Use dynamic imports for Angular X root configuration. Before change the Angular X root configuration, we have to add the required Ionic 4 page module first. Type these commands to create them. We just add product details, product add, and product edit, because the product list will display in the home page modules. Next, open SRC app routing modules. Then you will see the route modified and includes the page navigation. Next, we will modify this to match the new Angular X feature. Replace our route constant with this content. Save the file. Step number 4. Create Angular X REST API service. To call REST API, we will use Ionic 4 Angular service using HTTP client module. So, all CRUD call handled by Ionic 4 Angular X service that emitted the response by observable and RxJS. Next, open and edit src app modules ts. Then add these imports to register HTTP client modules and form modules. Add it to ng modules imports after browser module. We will use type specifier to get a type result object. For that, create a new TypeScript file, src app product.ts. Next, generate an Ionic 4 Angular X service by typing this command in the terminal. Next, open and edit src app API service.ts. Then add these imports of RxJS observable of throw error, catch error, tab, map, Angular HTTP client, HTTP headers. Add this constants variable before the inject table. Inject HTTP client modules to the constructor. Add Add error handler functions that emits the error response using observable. Add all CRUD, create, read, update, delete functions of products data which return the response from the REST API and emits using observable. Save this file. Step number 5. View list of data. As we mentioned at the beginning of this tutorial, we will use existing Ionic 4 homepage module to display a list of data. Also, we will implement the Angular CDK drag-drop feature on this page. For that, open and edit src app home homepage.ts. Then add or replace these imports of Ionic Angular, loading controller, Angular activated route, router, API service, product object model, Angular CDK drag drop. Next, add Angular eggs on init implementation to the homepage class name. Next, add the constructor, then inject those modules to the constructor. Remove all default generated variable, function, and constructor body if exists. Then add this variable before the constructor for all product data that get from the service. Add function for getting product list from API. Add Angular eggs init function after the constructor for call above function. Add function for the new Angular egg CDK drag and drop. Next, because we will use the new Angular egg CDK features, we should add modules for it to src app home module ts. Then add these imports of Angular CDK scoring modules and drag and drop module. Register to ng modules imports array. Next, open and edit src app homepage HTML. Then replace all HTML tags with this ion content that implements Angular CDK features call. Give this page a style by open and edit src app homepage as CSS. Then replace all CSS calls with this. Step number 6. View data details and add delete function. Every time you click the list item in the list of data, you will be redirected to details tabs including the ID of the selected data. Open and edit src app product details page ts. Then add or replace with imports of Ionic Angular, LH controller, API service, Angular, activated root, router, and product object model. Inject above modules to the constructor. Add the variables before the constructor for hot product data and Angular egg loading spinner. Add an asynchronous function to getting product detail from API. Add an asynchronous function for display and art. Call getProduct function from Angular X init function. Add the function to navigate to the edit product page. Next, open and edit is RC app product details page HTML. Then replace all HTML tags with this. Don't forget to save all your work. Finally, give this page a style by open and edit is RC product details page CSS. Then replace all CSS calls with this. Step number 7. Add data. To create a form for adding a product's data using Angular Egg material, open and edit is RC app product add page ts, then add these imports. Inject above modules to the constructor. Declare variables for the form group and all of the required fields inside the form before the constructor. Add initial validation for each field in the onInit function. Create a function for submitting a post-product form. Next, add this import for implementing error set measure. Before modifying the HTML file, we have to register all the Angular Egg material files by open and edit src app product add module cs, then add these imports. The car that imported modules to the ng modules imports array. Next, open and edit src app product add page html, then replace all html tags with this. Save all your works. Finally, open and edit src app product adds components or page SCSS. Step number 8. Edit data. To create a form or edit product data using Angular Egg material, open and edit src app product edit pages. Then add these lines of imports. Add a new class before the components that handles the error message in the HTML form. Next, add these lines of variables to the main class before the constructor. Inject the constructor params with these modules. Inject the constructor. Initialize the form group with the form controller. Initialize the form group with the form controllers of the product form and call the product details data in the Angular X ng on init function. Create a new Angular X function to call the product data by ID. Create a new Angular Egg function that handles the form submission to chef data from the REST API. Add a function to navigate the product details page. Before modifying the HTML file, we have to register all Angular X material files by open and edit src app product edits modules ts, then add these imports. Declare imported modules the ng modulus imports array. Next, open and edit is RC app product edits page HTML. Then replace all HTML tags with this. Finally, add some styles for this page by open and edit is RC app product edit page CSS. Then replace all CSS code with this. That's it, the whole steps to create Ionic CRUD mobile apps. You see the demo application in the description below. Also, you can find the article and source code. If you think this tutorial is useful, you can click like, give the comment, and subscribe to this channel to give me more power to create the next tutorial screencast.